my content for July is sponsored by OneFootball, so please go and check out the OneFootball app. The link is in the description below. The OneFootball app is the place that you need to go for all of your football news, whether that's Manchester United or not, literally all the news around the world. They've even got a dedicated transfers section where you can rate transfers and you can also see who's linked with what club, what rating they think it's going to be, and all of the sources which connect that player to that club. This is an excellent resource, especially during the transfer window, but it's not just about transfers. If you're a Manchester United fan, which I assume you are for watching this video, then you can also check out and find out what's going on just with Manchester United by following them in here and getting alerts whenever a piece of news drops. And if, throughout the season, once the stats start coming in, you can check out what the players have been up to, how they're doing, how they're performing by checking out the stats section, which is very useful, I think, as it comes on. But this is the youth review, so we're going to be looking at youth players, and hopefully we'll be seeing some of these in the first team for Manchester United next season. But that's it. The app is absolutely fantastic. The link is in the description below. Please support them because they are supporting me and they are supporting this youth review throughout July. So please do us a favour, download it and let me know in the comments what you think. Hello everybody, this is Stephen Howson and this is my Manchester United youth review. It's the first one of the 2017-2018 season. It's the perfect one to introduce you to the new signings and the new scholars that have just been promoted from the under-16s and give you a little bit of insight as what you're going to be seeing from this team, which I think is a very exciting team for the 2017-18 season. Now this side is going to be competing on three fronts, and that's the under-18s Premier League, which I actually think is the bottom priority for this side. They're going to be competing in the UEFA Youth League, I nearly said Europa League, the UEFA Youth League, which is an under-19s competition that runs parallel with the Champions League up until the knockout stage, and then you've got the FA Youth Cup, and I think the FA Youth Cup always represents, for me at least, the pinnacle of what these lads should be doing. Speaking to a couple of the players, they're very excited to get stuck into the Youth League, really excited to test themselves against some of the opposition around Europe. We're guaranteed to get a pretty decent team because of the seeding in pot 1 that the first team's going to be dealt with. There might be some decent teams in pot 3 as well. We're in pot 2 ourselves, and then it could be anything in pot 3. So really interesting to see how this draw goes down. The final is in April in Switzerland. And if we get the opportunity to go there, I think I might take the trip out there myself because it's a big ask that the lads get there. But you know what? If we get there, it'll be the first time that we've done it at this level. And I think it's worth commemorating. So without further ado, let's dive straight in. Here's what I think is going to be possibly our strongest lineup. And I say possibly because some of these players I haven't seen play, and I can't and I won't just give you random opinion on players without really watching them first. There is supposedly a game tomorrow, Friday, that the under-18s are playing, and I'm hoping to get down there. So next week I might have a little bit of footage, and I also might be able to tell you a little bit more about some of these new signings than I've already seen from the clips on the internet or from speaking to some of the players that have been training with them this week. So as you can see in net, Volchek is going to be the first choice goalkeeper, I think, going into this. And he had a pretty decent season last year. Managed to get a red card against Manchester City, which wasn't the greatest, but you know what, apart from that, he was decent. Didn't look spectacular, didn't really blow me away, but certainly didn't look shaky in any way, shape or form. So excited to see how he's going to develop. And at right back, we've got so many players. In fact, the two left backs that are listed on this can both play right back, and I think both of them actually prefer to play at right back. So we've got arguably 5, and I also include Jimmy Garner in this one as well, can also play right back. We've got arguably 6 players going for the right back position. For me, O'Connor, possibly a future captain. Wouldn't be surprised to see him wearing the armband at all actually this season for Manchester United under-18s. He is the pick of the bunch at the moment. The rest of them all a year younger than him, so you would expect him to be a little bit higher in development. But he had a great first season in the under-18s last year, so I would expect him to continue what he's shown going forward this year. And then Tanner and Sang, younger players, but pretty decent, solid players that I expect one of them at least to really push at right back. Now, if we go over to the left back situation, we've got Ethan Laird and we've got Brandon Williams. And these are two cracking players. And I don't know how you split these two. I've got Laird typed in there first, but literally it was just the first name that came to my mind as I was putting these together. I don't think there's much between them. Both very attacking. Both could possibly play as wingers, I feel, because their delivery is good and they also like to beat that last man. Both of them have scored goals and created chances from fullback, and I could quite happily see Manchester United lining up with one of these at left back and one of these at right back should O'Connor get moved into centre half, which he may do, to be honest, because I do think centre half is not the strongest it's been. Obviously, the last few years we've had Roshan Williams, we've had Tuanzebe, and we've had Tyrell Warren coming through at centre-half. And I think the lads that we've got at centre-half at the moment, not quite on that level of experience, not quite on that level of ability, unfortunately. Max Dunn, very good player, and I think he's got a big season ahead of him this year. He's a big lad, he's a tall lad. I expect him to be the dominant centre-half in this. And then alongside him, we've got potentially new signings in Dishon Bernard at centre-half. We've also got Jimmy Garner, who's moved up, who's a very capable player. Be interesting to see how he copes playing at this level now with this sort of scrutiny, because this is a very young under-18 side. Not too many of last year's under-18s still old enough for this. Very, very young under-18 side, so potentially together for a couple of years in this one. You've also got Ercolani, a young Italian lad, who we didn't see a lot of last season. Struggled with injuries quite a bit, but he come with massive ratings when he was signed. I think it was last year, might have been the year before. So very excited to see what could happen here. I just don't feel like the centre-halves are on the same par of what we've had coming through when you're looking at three unbelievable players at centre-half in Tuanzebe, Roshan Williams and Tyrell Warren, but I'm fully expecting one of these to surprise me. That's why I think you might see O'Connor moved in alongside Dunn. You've got the big man, the small man, then one to maybe mop up a little bit, which O'Connor's very good at, and that might give the opportunity for Williams or Laird at full-back. But I think Garner is probably the option to go alongside Dunn, and I'm very excited to see how both of those can cope with what they're going to get flung at them. Now, I've put these out in a 4-3-3 because that was what McKenna seemed to prefer last season. We did play 4-2-3-1 on occasion, but our best football came when we played 4-3-3. So I would like to see Manchester United line up in a 4-3-3 this season. The problem that I've got is, from what I've watched, from what I've heard, and from what I've seen with my own eyes, none of these midfielders are defensive midfielders. So if I've got Traore and Galbraith in the number 6 position, but I think they're both number 8s. They're both Ander Herrera style number 8s. Traore himself, I mean, it's a massively lazy comparison, but from the players that I've spoken to and the clips that I've seen of him myself, he is a carbon copy of Paul Pogba. So he's not really a number 6. Galbraith I haven't seen so much of. He was on trial last season, but I don't think he's a number 6. I think he himself is more of a number 8. One name that I've not put on the list is Arnau Puigmal, and he is a number 8. He wears the number 8. He's Spanish. This is the wonder kid we've got from Espanyol. He's one that I think that people are putting a lot of faith into, thinking that he could be a really big signing for us. Again, a very young player though, and I'm not sure if he's a 6 or an 8. A Spanish 8 might be able to sit deeper and control the play from a little further back, but last season we had Callum Whelan. Callum Whelan loved that mopping up, loved that a real aggressive side of the game, that defensive side of the game, and I just don't see that from what I've seen at the moment in these lads. So I think the other two midfielders, I've got Mellor put in there, which is Damani Mellor. He's probably more of a winger or maybe an attacking 8, possibly even a 10, a bit similar to what Gomez is. So I've just put him there underneath Gomez, but I think if he gets opportunities in the 18s next season, it might be as left or right wing. Gomez, if he's available, is going to be the first choice and the star player of this team. Make no bones about that. The experience that he got in the first team last season, I hope, just gives him the confidence to do whatever he feels like he wants to do on the pitch next season. And I think, this season, and I think it's going to be a wonderful season for him. I believe they're going to try and keep as much of this team together. So the likes of Barlow, the likes of Gomez, the likes of Chong aren't going to be pushed into the under-23s as much as we maybe would have seen in the past. And I think that Gomez is going to be kept around to really make this team have a real good run at both of those cup competitions that I mentioned earlier. Alongside them in midfield, we've got Dylan Levitt, the Wales international at under-17 level. Very capable midfielder. Dion McGee, again, a very capable midfielder. Local lad, scrappy, very good on the ball, likes to score spectacular goals from outside the box. But again, another attacking midfielder, or another attacking-minded midfielder. And Aidan Barlow, obviously, you can probably play anywhere across that front line, maybe even up front. Got a great eye for a goal. I think that from what I've seen, Traore, Gomez and Barlow might be a little on the attacking side. I think if we did bring in anyone who was a defensive-minded midfielder, and Jimmy Garner, again, could fill in this role. I think he could fill in as a centre defensive mid. I think someone who can come in and show that they can be a stopgap there has probably got an excellent chance of playing very regular football for this side next season. Across the forward line then, I think number 9, I think Nissan Burkhardt is definitely going to be picking up that number 9 shirt. He looked good in games last season, but was sort of withdrawn as a number 9, and I would like to see him played a little bit beyond that last man this season, and maybe with the talent that's around him he's able to do that, but he definitely needs to find the net a little bit more than he did last season. And I think this is a big season for him. He should have settled in to Manchester now. He should be settled in with the team, and I do expect big things because the lad is definitely talented. We just didn't see that real clinical goal machine which we'd seen at under 16 level from him. So I think this is a big season now. This is his under 18, his second year scholar. Really want to see Nissan banging them goals in, and I know he can do it. I've got Chong on the right. He's probably going to be out for a long time. I think there's talk that he might be back in a couple of months, but I think he is still going to be out with the ACL injury that he got last season. So I hope he comes back and shows the same sort of form, because he was ultra aggressive, ultra direct and ultra productive as well. He looked absolutely fantastic, so I really want to see him back in the team. Milan Bars is the guy that I've got in there as a deputy. I'm not sure Bars will start if Chong doesn't. I think it'll probably be Barlow be moved over to the right, and then possibly McGee or Levitt will be played as a number 8 alongside Gomez as, you know, an 8/10 sort of role in this midfield. Bowie is the deputy there, I think, to Burkhardt up front, but you could also see the beauty of a lot of these players is they're very fluid in how they play the game. So you might see Bowie out on the right, you might see him up front, you might see him out on the left. Boonan's going to have a big season. Boonan had a great season last season and made it look effortless at times. I think he's going to be an absolute first choice starter. And the backup to him is a new signing that we've just signed, which is Largie Ramanazi. And from the lads that I've spoken to, this is a player with Ronaldinho's style of play, where it's just all tricks, all show, all flair. And this team could probably do with somebody like that, I think, with that sort of pace. Obviously, Gomez has got a lot of flair in the way he plays the game, but he's very Iniesta-ish, and I like him more in that withdrawn role. And I think someone like Largie, a little bit similar to Chong, although Chong's a little bit more direct, I think, with it, will be good. And it'll be entertaining. We scored 5 goals on 6 occasions, I think, last season, the under-18s. And I would expect us to go with the same sort of mentality, that we're going to turn up and we're going to put goals away. Against Wolves, I think, was probably the pick of the games. I think it was certainly in the first half. It might have been within the first half an hour. We just absolutely swept them away with goals. It was an unbelievable game. It was an absolute pleasure and a privilege to go and watch that. And I think this team is capable of doing the exact same thing this coming season. And I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. I think there's some real talent in this side. I've covered most of the signings there and the lads that have come up from the under-16s. The couple of lads that have been kept around there from the previous under-18 side are all definite first-choice players and are all definitely going to have a big say in what happens this season in that side. And ultimately, this is a Manchester United team that is capable of going and doing stuff. And I think you've also got Terrell Warren and you've also got DJ Buffon, who will be available for the under-19 games when they're in the Youth League. And I think that's going to be key. Those couple of players coming back in, bolstering that side a little bit, and also Callum Whelan as well. Callum Whelan might be a key player to come back in for the under-19 games when we're playing against, you know, a very good side in Europe. And we want that little bit more mature, calm, influence, and I think that's what Whelan can really bring to us. So massive campaign for us this season, huge campaign that's going to revolve around Angel Gomez, I think. So I wouldn't expect to see him in the first team at all next year, and I wouldn't be shocked or upset if he's not, because I think that United can and should put a lot of emphasis on the Youth League next season, and a lot of emphasis on the FA Youth Cup. Very disappointed with going out at the first time of asking against Southampton at Old Trafford last season. We definitely need to improve on that, and I hope it hurts some of the players, because I think they can use that to then spring forward. This is sponsored by the One Football app, and you can get a lot of the youth news and certainly a lot of the loan news on the One Football app. So make sure you check it out. It's down here. The link is it's down here actually, I think. The link is in the description below, so please go and check that out. They're supporting me for the whole of July, so go show them a bit of love. Download it and let us know in the comments what you think if you have downloaded it, because I think it's a pretty good app. Turn notifications on. Job's a good one. So that'll do for this week. Next week we'll be talking about the under-23 squad, who's moved up into that, how I expect them to play, what the new manager is like, Ricky Spregia, who used to manage Manchester United reserves, what he likes to play, how he lined up with his teams when he was previously at Manchester United, maybe what he's been doing since, and all the rest of it. And the lads go to Austria, the 23s and the 18s go to Austria on Saturday for their pre-season training, and then they're going to be quickly back into it. They've got a big campaign. The 18s kicks off with a game in Northern Ireland for the Super Cup, formerly the Milk Cup, and then they've got a game against Lincoln, and then they're into the swing of things. So hopefully I'll be bringing some footage from some of those games. I'm going to try and get to as many of those as possible, and for the whole course of the season, this is going to be the regular youth review. I am trying to do this every week. I know I slip sometimes, but trust me, I'm going to try and do this every week. So please subscribe. If you're interested in Manchester United youth, if you've got any questions about any of the players that we've signed or promoted from the under-16s, please get it into the comments, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much. Laters.